Good afternoon. Welcome to Battle Creek Public School Board of Education meeting. Today is Monday, December 9th, 2024. It is now 5:30 p.m. We'll ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Dr. Alicia Johnson. Dr. Nicole Perry.
Present.
Catherine LaValle.
Present.
Nathan Graycheck.
Here.
Art McClinney.
Yep.
Charlie Fulbright.
Here.
Patty Poolgray.
Present. We move down to the interpretation message. As a reminder, tonight's meeting is being interpreted into Spanish thanks to our partners from Voices of Battle Creek. To listen in Spanish, please refer to the description on our YouTube live stream for the link. To our board members and other speakers, please remember to speak clearly and not too quickly so that interpreters are able to keep up. Thank you. Okay, the chair will now entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda, consideration, additions, or deletions.
Madam President,
Yes, trustee Fulbright?
I would like to add to discussion letter F, MASB, Board of Directors nominations. And then under new business, I would like to change letter B to National School Board Association Annual Conference.
It's been moved by trustee Fulbright, supported by trustee LaValle, that we add F to the for MASBA Board of Directors nominations, and that we also, under new business for B, the National Association of School Boards. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Those opposed say no. Public comment. Battle Creek Public School Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the community to express themselves on district matters. We have two opportunities on our agenda tonight for public comment. The Board of Education requests you fill out a public participation form with contact information. As you come to the microphone, please state your name. Each statement made by a speaker shall be limited to a 3-minute duration. If the speaker represents a group, the person will be given 5 minutes to speak. Battle Creek Public Schools Board of Education will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. Public commenters will direct all comments to the Board of Education, not to staff or other participants. Do we have any public comment? Thank you. Moving down to discussion. Strategic planning update, Dr. Carter.
Yes, I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Campbell, who is here to give us an update on what the work that we've been doing over the last couple of months to engage in a new strategic planning process. And so with that, Dr. Campbell, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Superintendent Carter, members of the board, and the public. I'm excited to share progress on the new strategic plan. I will be sharing screens with you, and the highlights will be the products that have been co-constructed by so many people in your community. And the last task will be for the board to give us important words and phrases that the board wants to see in the new revised mission statement that will be updated with the new strategic plan. I'm going to share screens with you now. One second, just had it here. There it is. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So as the title said, this is an update to the board, and just a little bit of commentary. As a former superintendent, the board is so critical in sponsoring the work, being a lightning rod for the work, and want to be sure that the board is seeing a process and a strategic planning product that is reflective not of a handful of people, but dozens, if not hundreds of people. A little bit about the Scholar first. I've told you a little bit about my company when I saw you in person, but just as a reminder, do strategic planning, principal supervisor coaching, school board professional learning, central office coaching, and as recently as this morning, led a statewide convening for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation on aspects of post-secondary success. Well, we sort of estimated our reach, about 2.5 million students, 1,000 administrators, 60 superintendents, and 50+ school districts. Here are some examples of the districts where we've done strategic plans. Districts as big as Beaverton and as small as Quincy. Quincy has about 3,000 students. And these other districts are somewhere in between. First, I want to give you an overview of the strategic planning process. We're pretty committed to making sure we deliver on every outcome, every deliverable that we've shared in our process. I want to give you an update on that so you understand how all of these products come together. I want to unpack some of the completed products. And finally, I want to gather feedback from the board. You will give us words and phrases for your revised mission statement. And a mission statement, as we know, describes why the district exists. So you'll give us new words and phrases, and the district leadership team, which is a subgroup of your strategic planning group, will take your words and phrases and craft the new draft mission statement. One of the things with is, what is a strategic plan? Fundamentally, it's a roadmap. Sadly, they're not utilized as powerfully as they should be. I think partly the reason for that is they're not outcomes based. They lack the student-centeredness that a school and who's engaged in school improvement can see the connection, and they don't involve broad stakeholders. And so we've tried to mitigate all of those factors in the design of our process. One of the reasons strategic planning is so critical, you want to eliminate misalignment, where people will say there are too many initiatives. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. Each school is working in their own silo, or there's a lack of focus. And we want to move to everyone moving in the same direction. We've got fewer goals, and everyone knows what those goals are, how we'll measure success. We're collaborating on those goals, and students are at the center. So the right-hand side is what we want to see happen as a result of a robust, authentic, dynamic strategic planning process. One of the pieces I always call out when I talk to schools teams about strategic planning, a really good one should allow you to have a few really good initiatives, not a whole laundry list, which you can't accomplish. That looks like 5 or fewer initiatives at the district level, 3 or fewer at the school, and that, again, aligns with the design of the new plan. And when we do this work, things are coherent, and when they're coherent, they're consistent across the schools, and initiatives feel connected, not one-offs. That's this definition of coherence. The guiding principles of the Scholar First, the work has to be done with the district, so that means lots of different committees. It can be a messy process, but these messy processes lead to buy-in. It's anchored in student voice. You're going to see in all the ways in which we've elicited student voice. We have these goals that are all student-centered. We use research and evidence-based practices to generate outcomes. I will be in your district in a few weeks. We'll be meeting after school with over 70+ school-based educators to identify the practices they're going to implement over the next 6 years. We also have done something called a theory of action with your central office team and administrators, so we can work backwards from the vision of the student experience, and I'll share that with you as well. Here are the products or the deliverables. There's a vision of the student experience. Why do we call it this? We're transitioning away from the traditional vision statements that sound like every student, every day, career ready. That's an example. Or every student, a thriving member of the academic and, larger community. You've seen these traditional vision statements, and our vision statement came from building administrators, each of them listening to students, bringing back feedback, and we crafted this vision of the student experience. It's much more easy to see in a school. It should be socialized on charts and documents all throughout the schools, and it should be the driver for everything in the strategic plan. Core values, we've got a core planning team. We've revised your core values. Theory of action, we had your central office team with building administrators basically come up with the powerful if-then statement that says these are the important things that all the key stakeholders need to do for the strategic plan to be successful. Mission statement, this is why I'm with you. This is one of the reasons why, because the board really does drive the design of the content in the mission statement. And so you're going to help us today come up with some important words and phrases as we renew the mission statement. Goals, we've worked with the administrative team to outline and name 4 goals that'll drive improvement. They also crafted outcomes that will tell the board and the community about how we'll know if we're making progress on these student-centered goals. We'll subsequently, in the coming weeks, identify performance targets year over year so we can start to measure growth and gains on an annual basis. And you can have all of these things, but if you don't agree upon what are the research-based practices, it would leave it to every school to sort of decide this or get clear about this. That change and churn could continue. And the work that's going to happen in January on the practices is really what gives this strategic planning process a very unique momentum. Graduate profile, we convened a group that was comprised of half of them were students, the other half were staff and families and community, and they have crafted up a graduate profile that we're still cleaning up. I'll be sharing that with you. The graduate profile describes what you want every single student in the Battle Creek School District to leave knowing once they leave. It's those competencies. When we did that session, I shared with them some of the Michigan State data about jobs that are going to be available in the academic or the education-based experiences. Students will need to take advantage of those jobs, and we use that data and information before we framed up your graduate profile. Foundations, these are the district initiatives. It's what your superintendent and team will determine will be the focus of the district work that supports the goals that the schools are focused on. And then our core planning team will draft 4 or 5 draft promise statements. These are taglines with which your new strategic plan will be referred to. They'll come up with those drafts, I believe, in February. Then we send it out for a vote to your community, internal and external, students, staff, and families. And the one with the most votes will be your new promise statement. This strategic planning process unveiled is designed to accomplish all of these different products. And we do it with broad stakeholder voice. We have a DLT. These folks write. They've written the vision of the student experience. When you give the feedback today on the mission statement, the DLT will be the group that does that writing. The administrative team, they are the ones that did the goals and the outcomes. Core planning team, it's students, staff, community, families, school board. They meet to get what I call large grain size feedback. Some upcoming work for them. We'll be sharing the new goals and outcomes. We'll be sharing the performance targets with them. They'll also give us feedback on the promise statement that will accompany the new strategic plan. Graduate profile team. This group has met and has framed up competencies that we want all of your graduates to have before they leave the system. And instructional planning team, this is probably the biggest group. This is a group of school-based staff, specifically teachers, instructional coaches, and instructional staff of the central office. They will meet after school. They'll break up into 4 teams. one for each goal area. Look at research and decide what are the practices the district will commit to seeing in every classroom over the next 6 years to accomplish your goals. Here's a number for each of these groups, just so you can get a sense of the scale of participation. And you can see the products that I just shared with you, how they're distributed across the groups. And why is this important? Because often strategic plans are not implemented. I know this as a former teacher, former principal, former assistant superintendent, chief academic officer, and former superintendent, that you can actually have the best laid plans, but if you don't attend to the process for getting voice, that implementation will not be as strong. And that's what all of this design is intended to do. We've got it on a timeline so you can see where we are in that process. Wherever there's a green square, these products have been completed. Where there's yellow, we're in the midst of working on them. And you can see we're getting closer to beyond the midway point of your strategic planning process. So let's look at some of the products. The vision of the student experience. It outlines what we want every single student in your school to say they experience in their schools. And that's why it has to be written in student-friendly language. We had building leaders listen to students. We gave them the same questions. They all asked those questions. We themed it, and then we brought the DLT together, and we crafted the vision for the student experience. And these are some of the questions they asked students. There were questions around academics as well as belonging, 4 questions. We themed that, and then this is your new vision of the student experience. This is the basis for your strategic plan. If your strategic plan is successful, students will say more times than not they're seen by name, need, and strength by their peers, their school, and community. They will say they are challenged, and it will show up in their achievement data. It'll show up in their perception data. They will say, I'm supported. I have advocates, and I'm able to advocate for myself, to collaborate with others, and to grow in character, intelligence, and joy. And I'm a student with infinite potential, which really conveys the growth mindset that we want students in Battle Creek to have. So this is the Battle Creek vision of the student experience. I'm going to pause. Board members, if any one of you or all would like to make a 1-sentence or 2-sentence piece of feedback, what words or phrases in the vision of the student experience resonate with you?
Feel free to shout out.
I guess I'll right away, that first sentence, name, need, and strength kind of balances everything out really well. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
I like the think critically.
Yes. I shared some data with the profile of a graduate group of what employers globally want, and that one was one of them.
I like to support to advocate for myself.
Yes, that is a lifelong competency.
Yeah, and I'd add to that to growing character. I was going to say advocate for myself and growing character.
See this vision of the student experience socialized in the district. And by that, I mean, where do you want to see it? Where would you expect to see it?
I'm sorry, I didn't even catch the question.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
I thought you were reading something when you said,
Oh.
what's the question again?
The question is, where do you want to see this socialized across the district? Where would you want to see the vision of the student experience?
externally, so to the community, so they're aware of what our district is standing for, but also for students to see that and their parents. So pretty broad net.
On
Yeah.
our website.
Yes, on your website. It's very concrete. Yes. Where else might it be?
I like having the idea of having this like the first thing you see when you walk into each building.
Yes.
So that any parents or community members that come visit that building, they would know right away, this is what our vision is.
Yes, this is what you're about as a district. Do you feel the language is accessible? Meaning most people would understand what we're talking about?
I think it's understandable as well as brief and to the
Yeah.
point.
It's one of my favorites. I'll be honest. It's inspiring, it's aspirational, but it's accessible. So I ask every group, where do you want to socialize it? And the reason I'm asking board members that is to be thinking about it, because one of the ways that strategic plans live is when we socialize parts of the plan. So this one, continue to think about it. Some boards where I've done this, they put this in their board, in the board part of their policy at the very beginning to remind themselves of what it is that the district is sort of focusing on. So continue to think about that. We then took that vision and we went to the core planning team and we asked them to give us words or phrases to seed the core values. And core values are guiding principles related to ethics and behavior. They basically are derived from our core beliefs, but they actually tell us and they should illustrate how people should behave. So they define our actions. And we started with that vision of the student experience. We said, what would be the core values of a district that had a vision like this? That's the question that we asked. And then we asked the core planning team, 26 members, to give us words or phrases. And we created a word cloud for you to see. And the words that are bigger are the words that came up the most of what they felt needed to be in our core values. You don't want to have too many, you want to have a just right amount. And you can see some of those words that are really what I call at the forefront. Here are your new core values. Actually, we're wanting to be as transparent as possible. These are the actual the core planning team group's words. We created a word cloud right there that came from this data. And then the DLT drafted these 3 core values: equity, community, and academic excellence. And this describes the 3. It doesn't mean we don't have other core values, but these are the most prominent. These would be the ones that you'd have on your website. These would be the ones that would be, some districts have them on their job postings. These are the things when you have hard decisions to make. Are you acting in alliance with your core values? It can be a way to filter your decision. So I want you to take a minute to see the core values that the core planning team seeded and the DLT took their feedback and crafted. I'm not there in the room with you, but wanting to be sure I give you enough time to see these core values.
Could you go back to your word cloud? Because that was pretty impressive to see how you came up with the 3 core values.
Mm-hmm. And what we do, say you see a word that's really prominent, maybe I tell the committee, not every word you have will necessarily be at the forefront, but most of it will be there. And even if there are smaller words, where the smaller words will show up is in the actual definition part. So it's both the big word and the definition, how we define it. And we take this back to the core planning team. We let whenever a group seeds something, we take it back so they see how what they gave us was actually used to inform design. Your core values. This is something strongly urge you to be thinking about. How will you update it? How will you use this? And for example, in tight budgetary times, if you've got a framework for budgeting, but you should also probably have core values that you use as a way to prioritize and make those hard calls. So then this particular theory of action that I'm going to share with you is primarily for the district central office staff. And the reason we do that is that we want everybody from maintenance to HR to see their connection to the strategic plan. Too many strategic plans, folks only think it implies your teaching and learning group. So I shared with them some research before they wrote the theory of action that outlines why a theory of action is important. And the first reason is that you want to experience a breakthrough in your thinking. You want to think fresh. So we took the vision of the student experience that I just shared with you, and they worked backwards to do that. When you do a theory of action, it increases agreement and alignment on how you think change will happen. It allows you to better acknowledge and address power differences. It promotes equity in your pursuit of your goals, and I'll show you that here in a minute. You're better able to understand the role and expectations of different stakeholders. You know where to invest your time and resources. And you are better able to measure your strategies. This came out from the Annie Casey Foundation in 2022. And basically what the article says is that any district that's serious about spending millions of dollars needs to actually articulate an improvement strategy. What I can tell you about Dr. Carter is when I first met her, that was one of the first things she asked me was, were we going to be able to do this work? And she talked about and had a recognition for the value of a theory of action. All too often you don't see that at the highest level of leadership. I was so impressed from her recognition of it, and they had already done some of that work because that's not common. And here is how it played out. We start with the student when we do a theory of action. We start with that student and that vision. We then say, what will the educator have to do to cause the student to have this experience? And if we want every educator to have the same conditions in their classroom, what would all our building leaders do? And if we want all of our building leaders to do this, what will the central office do? And the other reason you do this is if you don't, everybody already has in their own head their own theory of action. If you don't come to consensus about one, you'll have multiple theories of action, and often they compete with each other. Here's the Battle Creek theory of action. There's that learner, the vision of the learner experience in the far right. And you can see in the educator column, we identify 4 things that we want educators to do with this new strategic plan. We do this before I meet with them in January. So that way, folks, and they'll actually have this document as a reference tool so that we get things in the hands of teachers that allow them to implement the curriculum. We want to get things in the hands of educators strategies and practices that cause them to celebrate the successes of students in a positive way. We want to get things and strategies and professional learning to educators so they ensure all students are connected to the resources needed to meet their academic and social and emotional needs. And we want them to make these decisions based on data. These are the top 4 things. If we don't take the time to write it, believe it or not, you can randomly pull all kinds of strategies. This is how intentional we want to be. But it's not just the educators. What will then school leaders do? If we want educators to do those 4 things, we want school leaders to establish and promote a positive school culture and climate. You're going to notice these things nest, and we run them back to the student to be sure they will cause those actions. I'm not going to read each of these, but I think you get the gist of what I'm outlining is that everything needs to align. And then we go to the central office. And we want the central office to do things like have strong cross-functional collaboration. We want the departments to work together. We want them to recruit and hire exceptional talent coupled with comprehensive onboarding strategies. We want the central office to promote equitable distribution of resources and support, establish and monitor collaborative structures like the strategic plan and other things. One thing that I think is a real powerful value add, establish look-fors so we know when things are successful or not. Very intentional to lay out a theory of action. Board members, trustees, tell me just one or two voices. What do you think is the value of your team at the central office and the superintendent using this as a reference for improvement? What might be the value add of having and using something like this?
Would be a team focus.
Yes, absolutely.
Keep everyone on the same page.
Yeah, it creates coherency, which is being on the same page. And everybody has something in their head about what they think improvement is. Now we co-constructed it and we've written it down, and this is the one we're going to follow as opposed to each individual theory of action. Anyone else? The value of a theory of action? Okay. I want to share with you some themes from listening and learning. And Dr. Carter, what I'll have you to just do a summary. You've already seen this, but I wanted the board to see what came out of our listening and learning. You've shared these slides before. I'll just advance and you can just tell me next slide. We were in person on September 26th, our team, and we had different focus groups. We also administered a survey. So on that listening and learning, we are in the thousands, but this focus group is what we did in terms of in-person listening. And here is the feedback. We basically asked questions around what words would they use to describe your district, what's working to improve student learning, what's not working, and if they had a magic wand or could prioritize one thing, what's the one thing that we would do? So let's see what students had to say.
So students said things like, my school experience has been decent, but focusing has been hard, drained and overly tired. They talked about fun and friendships, and they also talked about subject-specific enjoyment, where math and PE are their favorites. They like being active and in a PE class. I want them to say, I love ELA. Think about a time when you were successful at school. Some of the students talked about it's really around support from their teachers, their personal effort and discipline, so doing my work, being on time, paying attention, being motivated by others. And they also talked about the importance of encouragement and positivity. Thinking positive made me achieve my goals. So all of this was taken into account to inform our strategic plan. Next slide. We also asked to think about a time when you were unsuccessful at school. They talked a lot about distractions and how that might get in the way of their success, their own lack of effort, and so thinking about how we might embed motivation and inspiration into our strategies. And then classroom environment, which we all know was a focus. Loud classrooms, too much chaos, and the inability to concentrate. And I think that is why you will see such a heavy focus on positive school experience and building positive school cultures. Finally, if you had a magic wand, they would make school more fun. Okay, but really that was all around improved environment, making the school more welcoming. So, you know, out of the mouth of babes, they want us to take care of the spaces that they're in. Social aspects are important, to be in class with friends, to work on the bullying, work more in groups. And they talked about facilities improvements, and that was really particular at some schools that had made some decisions not to have lockers. And so our students are saying, hey, we haven't thought about that. And of course, make lunch longer, but also reduce. Of course, make lunch longer.
Longer, recess longer.
So then the group had an opportunity to talk with parents, and some of the overarching feedback was around family-oriented. This is the words that come to mind, that we are a family-oriented community. They love the diversity of our students, but there's some imbalance across our schools. Like some schools have different levels of supports than others, and so we want to pay attention to that. Next slide. Really real. What 2 to 3 things are working in Battle Creek? So there was some positive feedback on our effective communication. We have a caring staff, and we have a wide range of opportunities basically in our special programs. Next slide. What do we need to improve or strengthen? So while our communication is good, there's still opportunities for improving communication. More resources for academic support, and discipline and behavior continue to be at the top of the list in terms of the perception and the things that we need to address. So top priorities for the school district: student accountability, teacher training, which is really, really interesting, and engaging learning. So that's what came out of, and of course, this is people's experience, and so I had a coach tell me that people's experience is 100% true. So, and I love that. So, stakeholder group, staff, what words come to mind when you think of the culture in Battle Creek Public Schools from the staff? They are overwhelmed by initiatives, but they believe that the staff is dedicated, and they continue to struggle with the challenges associated with children with high needs in trauma-informed spaces. What 2 to 3 things are working in Battle Creek? We do have they acknowledge that we have a high quality curriculum. We provide one-on-one support, and the level of community engagement we have is pretty spectacular. I added that ad-lib. Next slide. Things that we need to improve. We need a mindset shift, because even among the staff, they recognize that not all of us have high levels of expectations for all students. So we want to address that. That our teacher training and resources, we want to improve and enhance that, but a lot of it is really around how to deal with high need behaviors. And then family involvement. Can we improve the engagement of our families and build stronger relationships? We have really good community involvement, but we also want to focus on family involvement. Next slide. So the top priority that the staff believe, we need to focus on the basics, raise expectations, and provide behavioral support.
Okay. So those themes will be utilized when you start to think about your foundations, your district initiatives. We'll also have this as a document to share when we identify practices, so that we're responsive to what I call themes. That, and this notion around safe environments is not just something that's happening in your district. In almost all strategic plans after COVID, you still hear students giving feedback around wanting to concentrate, wanting there to be more ability to manage these safe classroom spaces. So we will definitely want to see practices that do that. The other product that we have worked on is a profile of a graduate, and we've met a couple times already with this group. And the profile of a graduate really is how what the community says it wants to see as our students are leaving our schools. And the framework that we use, it has 4 categories for the competencies. One is around academics. I am skilled. You notice we use student-friendly language here. I am future focused. These are the kinds of things that we want to see students doing in their middle and high school years, usually around course taking, the goal setting. I am career ready. These are the things that employers will tell us that they want from a graduate. And I'm a difference maker. I'm in my community. I'm doing things that make my community better. So these are the 4 competency categories. And we had 32 stakeholders, many of them were students. And here is what your profile of a graduate looks like. So the first thing is, I'm a critical thinker and problem solver. Graduates are reflective and use reasoning to create solutions for productive results. And you see the I can statement, which is the competencies. I can ask questions, I can justify a situation, I can assess situations in their entirety, not just centered around how they impact me. And I can break down a big project into small, manageable steps. So we break these down this way so that teachers know how to teach it. So we know how to have students to self-assess whether or not they have engaged in these specific competencies. So you see that overarching summary statement and then the I can statements. Your categories, you saw me share with you the 4 that were in our framework. We actually added some tweak of language for your district, and I think you have a pretty compelling profile of a graduate. I embrace personal growth and well-being. That's another category. Here is the summary statement. Graduates identify their future path and align short-term and long-term goals to help them achieve their personal vision. And we know they're doing this with these I can statements. I'm not going to read them all to you, but you get an idea. And to hear the students who are working on this, constantly pushing the adults to use simple language, to talk about it in a way that made sense, was so powerful. I am a creator and inventor is another category. Graduates are ready to create new ideas and projects and improvise in any given situation. And here's how they demonstrate this with these competencies. I embrace collaboration. Summary statement, graduates cultivate strong bonds when working with others. I can, and here are the competencies. So this is your graduate profile. I will be meeting with Dr. Harvey and a couple of other educators this coming week to look at it anew with a teacher lens, to do some cleanup and deepening what I call that alignment in language and looking for redundancy. So we'll be doing that this week. Board members, trustees, questions, comments about the graduate profile?
I have a question about the
Yes.
graduate profile. How do we translate, because I'm thinking about starting from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. How do
Yeah.
you translate this language starting in kindergarten first when they graduate? Because if I'm a kindergarten, first grade or second grade, third grade, so forth and so on, I don't know what any of that means.
So one of the things that we'll be doing this week is we will have elementary teachers, middle school and high, to talk to us about unit design and strategies to ensure that it is translatable. That's the first thing. You will have 4 goal areas, and one of the goals is for your elementary schools, and one of the practices that we'll have in there is that they implement and utilize the graduate profile. So educators will take this language and I'll implement it at elementary, middle, and high. I will tell you this, I've seen lots of graduate profiles. I've actually a part of AASA's resident soup, and I've actually done scoring on applications for school districts who are applying because of their college and career readiness. and they have graduate profiles, and a lot of them are very wordy. This is actually pretty accessible. You ask a great question, which is why we're meeting with teachers this week. And we're specifically going to ask our elementary teachers who are on that panel to tell us, how do we translate this into activities that elementary students can do?
I like what Trustee McClenny has said, that it needs to be relatable and very relevant for our students.
And students, the bulk of the writing, students were a part of the group that wrote this. So they listened to the presentation, and half of the group that actually wrote it were students. So I will stress that.
I would just add that when we first wrote them, they were really wordy with big words, and the students kept saying, that doesn't make sense. So through their iterations and their feedback, we were able to make sure that what they saw up there, they had to be able to say back to us that they understood. So I will admit that we were a lot more wordy prior to their participation.
I understand that and I get it, but I'm just thinking, this is it.
Yeah.
We need to start down here.
Yes.
That ain't it.
You are correct. And we said college begins in kindergarten.
Yes, we do.
And so as a result of that, the team is working to translate this into an elementary program. And so you should see activity from kindergarten all the way through high school. Yep.
Which will, if we're gonna post it.
This is the end,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
And
we're gonna-
typically,
Go ahead.
so I've done this with the district that's wanting to do exactly what you've done, and they finished this. So you post it as it is, but what you do, you have actual units or an activity that says, for example, listen and respond with respect. You can go in a kindergarten room, and kindergartners know what that means to sit in a circle, to listen to another kindergartner. And so the teachers are going to come up with activities that are leveled for elementary, middle, and high. So some of these, a kindergartner, if I would say, can you come sit crisscross applesauce in a circle? We're going to speak and make sure that we're listening to our neighbors. Some of this teachers will know how to translate this into units. So I do get your piece around it wanting to be kindergarten friendly. And the way districts get after that, they actually build activities. And so that's what I'm imagining will happen as a result of the practices work that we do with elementary, middle, and high. But I totally understand accessibility and wanting it to translate, especially to our youngest learners, because if we don't start there, we're missing a whole lot in terms of the kind of growth we can see.
I just think I don't think it's the wrong words. I like what we have here. Just again, I just want to see it from kindergarten on up, because if this is what's going to be in our statements,
Yep.
it's got to start at the kindergarten level and move on up to get them to this point.
So imagine this, and I think it's Othello School District. What they do when you select it, you hit it, and there's a button that says elementary, unit, middle, and high. And you can see how one or two ways to teach it at elementary, middle, and high. So with an actual lesson. And I think that's the translation that you're probably thinking about.
That's what I'm thinking about, absolutely.
Yep. Thank you for pressing on that. We have to care enough about things that when we get a document like this, we're thinking about implementation. Really love that you pressed. And there are other products under construction, and you're part of that construction today, which is the mission statement. I'm going to come back to this. This is what we're going to end with. Your new strategic plan will have 4 goals. Goal 1 is around the whole child. And the generic names for goal 1 is whole child. The generic name for goal 2 is early learning. The generic name for goal 3 is grade level competency. And the generic name for goal 4 is college and career. Goal 1 is a combination of social emotional learning, belonging, and identity. That's goal 1. Goal 2, 3, and 4 are academic goals. And so your team of administrators, school-based administrators, came together, and here's what they have named your goals. Positive school experience, goal 1. Goal 2, building foundations and achieving excellence, goal 2. Goal 3, grade level mastery for all. Goal 4, career, college, and community ready. Every single one of these goals are student-based. And the way this will work, every school will have 2 goals. All schools have to have goal 1. They'll focus on these goals for the next 6 years. Elementary schools will have goal 1 and goal 2. Middle school, goal 1 and goal 3. High school, goal 1 and goal 4. And remember, I've been talking about these practices. We will actually be working with about 30 or so educators from each research. What are the top practices that we will actually implement at our schools over the next 6 years to accomplish these goals? Now, the way this works, the schools will keep those same goals for 6 years. Remember the research that says schools should have no more than 3 initiatives or 3 goals? Each school will have 2, and they keep them over the course of the time. What does adjust and shift are the practices, and I'll share that with you in a minute. So these are the new goals. We are also making the distinction between a goal and a strategy. Too many strategic plans would have a goal, for example, like a goal of hiring. Well, that is a strategy. That's not a goal. Hiring is an actual practice. So I'm making sure we keep those things clean. So these 4 goal areas. Then what we did is we developed outcomes. So goal 1, positive school experience. There are 2 ways we're going to measure it. And they read research to look at what the research says about indicators of a positive school experience. And you don't want to have 1,000 things you're measuring. You want to pick the most important, and you can see those 2 outcomes. Goal area 2, which is that elementary goal. There are 4 outcomes they're going to use to measure success. Grade level mastery for all, which is your middle school. You can see the 4 outcomes, or 3 outcomes rather, they're going to use to measure the goal. And your high school, career, college, and community ready, there are 4 metrics or 4 outcomes they're going to use to measure success on those goals. Where we still have work to do is to determine performance targets for each of these goals, but you can see we're well on our way. Now schools know year over year how they're going to know if they're making growth in these goal areas. And we use the strong verbs, increase, decrease. Those are the words that we're really communicating so that we can see the results that will make a difference. Just another way to see it. And in that goal area 2, you can see one of the ones that I like, increase the number of students reading independently on grade level by the end of kindergarten. I rarely have seen that one. Often they focus on 3rd grade. I like the aggressive nature of that. Goal area 3, which is your middle school.
Dr. Harvey.
It's important. And then your high school. We're not conflating a strategy that has nothing to do with schools in your strategic plan. We call out your district initiatives as foundations. So this really drives school improvement.
I think that goal 4 is a typo because those are all the elementary goals.
Oh, that's right, they are. Thank you for catching that. Let me go back. Let me see if it's on this first one, though.
My apologies. If you give me 1 second, I can fix that. I apologize.
That's okay.
Okay. Thank you for catching that, Dr. Carter. So I'll bring that back to you in a minute. So then on January 14th, you see how you had the 4 goals? We're going to take 70 or 80 people. We're going to have them coming from elementary, middle, and high. They will have read research on their goal area. And they are going to be in a room just like this one. This is in Beaverton School District. I think I had 150 people in that room. Beaverton is a big district. And you have teachers actually do this because it's not, we don't get improvement when people think things were done to them. And then they decide what are the things we're going to actually have to do to cause those outcomes to improve. And that session I'll facilitate in person, and then the leads, the people who are, and we've assigned leads for each goal area, will have their team to finalize their top 8 to 10 practices. They'll have the theory of action document in their hand so they can see what we said would cause improvement. They'll have some of the listening and learning data, just different, and some of your actual outcomes, some of your academic data. And I want to show you what this looks like. So in this district, this is one we've completed. This was for goal area 4, which is around college and career ready. They call it future ready. They had an outcome that says increase 9th grade on track. We pull those teams together, and the teacher and administrators at high school said, here's the practices. And this is just a sample. It's not saying this is what you're going to choose. Each district will choose their own. But they said use guaranteed and viable curriculum. And I saw that actually as in your theory of action. Review student data routinely to monitor student performance. Then they named what the school leader will do to support the teacher. And then we name what the district will do to support the school leader and the teacher. Usually it's around resource and professional development at the district office. And at the school leader level, it's usually around helping to establish a vision, monitoring it, celebrating it. Here's another practice, implement best practice strategies. They actually have a list of them. Work with the PLC teams to identify and build a menu of best practices. Highlight and share success stories. So you get a new principal, you get new staff. They don't start over each year. Students don't have time for us to constantly do starts and restarts. Now we're building on these things that are already great. Now here's the other thing I didn't say to you. You see along the bottom where you see sustaining, implementing, new and developing. I have a system where I ask the group to name the things that are currently being done that work. We keep them. We call them sustaining. We're not starting over. But there might be things that we're doing, but we're doing them in sort of haphazardly or in spotty ways. That's the implementing practices. And then there's new and developing, things that we want to try for the first time. And I tell districts you want to have about 40% of your practices to be sustaining, 30% implementing, and new and developing. And so the group that's naming these practices actually will categorize it, whether it's implementing, sustaining, or new and developing. Some districts have a lot of new and developing because they haven't been a system and every building has been doing it differently. So I tell them your strategic plan may take a little bit longer. So you get the idea of what these practices are. And what schools will do is pick 2 or 3 practices per outcome per year to really do well. So the practices are what sort of evolve year over year, but the goal area stays the same and the outcomes stay the same. This is the level of implementation that we are putting in writing because there has to be some things that are just clear to everybody as the way in which you want to lead the strategic plan. So Kylie's telling me she fixed goal area 4, and I want to at least have you see what yours looks like. Let's see. Is this, I'm sorry, that's goal area. Let's see, there we go. Let's try it now. Okay. So for goal area 4, your outcomes are increase the number of students graduating on time, increase the number of students on track to graduate, increase the number of students successfully engaging in rigorous coursework. And Dr. Carter, I can't tell you how important that one is. I convened a panel of students who were in first or second year college. It was 20 of them, and they were on this roundtable today. The number one thing that they wish they had had more of is access to rigorous coursework. And increasing the number of students completing and revising their post-secondary plan. So wanted you to see those outcomes and these practices.
So I have a question because all of them keep saying increase, increase, increase. But what are we increasing from? Because we are like drastically off track. Just increase, you increase by 0.5%. That's increase, but it's not significant or worth the effort. So are those going to become something more concrete where we're looking at where we should be, where we are, and then putting something more to that, or is it, because it's too vague for me right now?
The performance targets, remember I said we're still having to do that? You're going to get a performance target that says something like, and your assessment person has to look at where you currently are. So for example, if one of your performance targets is the number of students you want to read on grade level, say right now you're at 2 out of 10. So a performance target in 6 years, you need to calculate what would be a reasonable amount of stretch growth. Maybe it's 6 out of 10. Well, then you have to take, if that's where your performance target is, you have to then take each school to work backwards to see what it would take year-over-year increases to get to that performance target. But the performance targets haven't been framed yet. We just did your outcomes. The performance targets will drive what you're describing. Does that help?
Yeah, it does.
And when you see these other finished strategic plans, you'll see what I mean about performance targets. That will then talk about the directionality. Rarely do you see decrease. You'll see it around discipline, disproportionality. Often it's about increase, but it's the performance targets that will determine the year-over-year growth and the amount of increase. Great question. District foundations.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Can we take a 5-minute pause in the presentation just to recognize some students quickly, and that way they can be released from this meeting, and we'll just finish up the strategic planning? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you. Jump in.
That's what we don't talk about.
Yes. So.
I thought the kids were always the first thing.
Yes, that was a mistake, and we apologize. We should have had our students first. And so we're going to take a point of privilege, if you don't mind, and recognize. So, first and foremost, it's my honor to celebrate our student musicians of the month. Our students who have not only excelled in their musical craft, but have also demonstrated commitment, growth, and leadership within their school. Within their school music programs. Each of the students has been selected by their music educators for their exceptional contributions, whether through performance, collaboration, or inspiring others to embrace the joy of music. These remarkable young musicians are being presented with a certificate of achievement as a token of our appreciation for their hard work and dedication. This recognition reflects the countless hours of practice, the courage to perform, and their contributions to the vibrant culture of the arts in our district. So please join me in celebrating the following students as I call their name, if they would come forward to receive their certificate. And then we want to take a picture with you, and we will also be sending you something after the meeting. But today, I think in the audience we have Gabrielle Wells, and she is being awarded the Choral Music Award for Excellence in Choral Music Education. Congratulations, Gabrielle. So it is with great pleasure that we honor you in front of the Board of Education. I am so proud of the work that you have been doing, and that you were personally chosen by your music teacher to receive the certificate and award, right? So stay tuned. We want you to hold it. You're like, I'm ready to go to bed. Congratulations. All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to do the card.
Sorry, guys. You're fine. Thank you for coming.
So next we have Mr. Rinke here on behalf of our Student Artist of the Month. And so each year our district has the honor of showcasing the creativity of our students by selecting a piece of student artwork to feature on our official district holiday card. This year, we were blown away by the artistry and imagination displayed by our students, making the selection process both inspiring and challenging. And this is the year that it was the hardest ever to make a decision because I wanted to make 6 holiday cards. They were so well done. And so thank you for that. So it's with great pleasure that I announce this year's featured artist, who was just recently showcased at our board meeting, but May Wynn. She's an 11th grade student at Battle Creek Central High School. Her artwork is a pencil drawing that is now shown on the front of our season's greeting cards that will go out to all of our business partners, community members, and each board member received a copy as well. And so, Mr. Rinke, if you will come up, I'm going to present this to you. And thank you personally for all the work that you do with our students. We appreciate you, and we are just grateful for your work. So.
You get a 2 minutes for the drawing.
All right.
Thank you.
And these are for her as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. You can continue.
She took 5.
I think he may have stepped out to the restroom. I'm calling you right now. 1 second here.
All right, we're back on. Thank you for that pause.
I'm back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I get carried away on these topics, so board members, I also want to be sure you feel like you've got the information you need. We're getting close here, so let me pick right back up. So there will be 4 or 5 district initiatives. These are things that the central office will lead to support those 4 goal areas. And I'll give you a sample of what they will look like, and we'll be working with Dr. Carter on this in February. Here's a sample. In this district, first of all of the strategic plans will have a foundation around effective teaching and learning systems and authentic family engagement. Those 2 are always there. So they're practices and initiatives that you're going to have to strengthen that. Then the district adds 2 additional ones. This district wanted to do some work on facilities, so that was one of their initiatives, one of their foundations, and the other was effective systems and structures for student success. This had to do with hiring. They wanted to really have a focus on that over the next 6 years. So that's what foundations are. They're the district things that the central office will be working on. And then lastly, the promise statement. The core planning team will draft a short phrase that will summarize the spirit of the strategic plan. It'll be important in its branding. And here are some examples. We'll be doing this on February the 25th. Belonging for each, success for all. This is Evergreen Public Schools. They're a district of about 30,000. Believe, achieve, belong. This is Othello, a district of about 5,000. We believe, we belong, we learn. So these are just samples of promise statements. And so we'll be doing this with your core planning team. They'll come up with 4 or 5 drafts. We'll send this out for a vote. And the one with the most votes wins. Here's what a strategic plan looks like when we're done. There are 2 versions that we give you. There's an external version that goes out. It's nice and glossy. It's in your office, at the central office. You can see the cover. There's a table of contents. There's a mission statement that was written by the board, which is what we're about to do with you. A letter from the superintendent. Collective voices. In this district, they had over 1,800 participants. This is a district of about 5,000. You can see their district initiatives, their foundations, vision of the student experience, core values, their profile of a graduate is there. You can see the language is not as accessible as the language you have. They're actually working to operationalize this now. And their goal, outcomes, and performance targets. So these performance targets for the trustee who asked this question actually talks about the number of students that they're wanting to see meeting these outcomes by 2030. And then you actually break this down by building, and that's how you know how much increase happens school over school. Then there's an internal version that looks just like the external version, but the only difference is this. We actually have the practices. So the educators look at their goal area and they look at these practices and they have a menu of practices that they're pulling, that they're focusing on year over year. And it goes all the way through goal area 4. So that's a completed strategic plan, and that's where we're getting close. So now what we're wanting to do with you, spend the next 10 or 15 minutes or so where you're going to give us words and phrases that you think will be important to be in the new Battle Creek mission statement. And the first thing I want to do is describe, make sure we're on the same page in terms of what a mission statement is. I've seen some places where they confuse the mission statement with the vision statement. And the district mission statement describes why the district exists, who it serves, and what actions it's going to take. And it does that literally in a sentence or two. Here's an example. The school district will empower all students to discover and achieve their potential in an inclusive, inspiring, and innovative culture of learning. And there should be a quote on the end of that. So the school district will empower all students. So all students is why it exists. And what it wants to do, it wants to empower them to discover and achieve their potential. That's why it exists. And the actions that it's taking is, it's doing that in an inclusive, inspiring, and innovative culture. One sentence. Another example, we will prepare all students for college and life by providing a challenging curriculum that connects students' lives and their future in a safe, supportive, and nurturing environment. So we will prepare all students. So they exist about, this is about all students. Why? We want to prepare them for college and life. That's the purpose for the district. And how are they going to do it? By providing challenging curriculum that connects students' lives and their future in a safe, supportive, and nurturing environment. So you can see all of these are student-centered and a very short, concise thing about what they're trying to accomplish. In the first district, they're wanting to empower all students to discover their potential. The second one, we want to prepare all students for college and life. And how they're going to do that is through curriculum that connects to the lives of the students in terms of relevance and relationships. So those are two examples. I'm sure you already have had some work with mission statements. What I wanted to do is to give you this example, give you the definition, and I wanted to center our work back into that vision of the student experience. Remember, this came from the students themselves, and it's grounded in research. When you look at a lot of the research that talks about the role belonging plays and the role that it plays to have students who are challenged. So here is that vision of the student experience. And what I'm proposing that you do in the next 5 minutes or so is jot down 3 or 4 key words or phrases you think need to be in the new revised Battle Creek mission statement. 3 or 4 key words, knowing what a mission statement does. It describes why the district exists, who it serves, both of these examples as students, what actions, and the actions that this district, each district is taking is different. So with that in mind, I want you to jot down words or phrases that you think should be included in the mission statement. We'll take your words and phrases, and the district leadership team will then craft your new mission statement, and Dr. Carter will bring it back to you for you to see the revised mission statement based on your input.
So when I get that you said the next 5 minutes, but I can't see that, and a lot of this is new information. So is this something that we can do like next meeting and provide feedback for, or this has to be done today?
Dr. Carter, I don't know when we schedule the DLT, but I'm sure we can accommodate the board's request to show them some draft ones. The main thing is that you want to use the vision statement. Can you see this one? Can you see what I have in front of me now?
Not really.
Okay, so that,
That white on black is a challenge.
okay. What if I were to go back to, let me
And
just
in
see
a
if I,
larger scheme, I don't like brainstorm. I like to think about things and see
Sure.
the outputs that came up. So personally, that would make me feel better to look at the stuff you shared today.
I can appreciate that too, because there was a lot of information coming at them. So what I would like to do, Dr. Campbell, is say,
Sure.
hey, you have given us some marching orders, given them the background on the process.
Yeah.
I'd like to provide those artifacts in writing
Okay.
to them. We do have another board meeting next Monday. We're back to back this month. And so maybe next Monday, they can come back with their 3 to 4 words to inform us. I can take that information in and provide that feedback for the board. Does that work?
So what I'll do is I'll send you an abbreviated PowerPoint that has what's the mission statement. I'll send you something that has a couple samples and the prompt. And you can send that to the board. And then if you collect those words and phrases, then you can send those to me and I can facilitate the DLT in crafting it up.
Perfect. And we'll talk offline about the other artifacts because it kind of went really fast, but I'm certain that they want to
Okay.
see the student experience, like those pieces that we have already done some work on. If we can provide that in a packet, we'll get that out to them.
Absolutely. We can actually give you this whole presentation now that we've gone through it with you. We can give it to you as a PDF. And in the abbreviated PowerPoint, we would definitely have the vision of the student experience because that's what they're using to come up with words or phrases.
Perfect. Are there other questions from trustees does that sound like a plan?
Thank you, Dr. Carter.
I did have questions, but I'd rather have that PowerPoint and I
To
can.
review it first, and then we'll add this as an agenda item on Monday for a discussion.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Are there other closing thoughts, Dr. Campbell?
No, none at all. We know what we need to do. I'll send you two. What I'm hearing though, we'll give you this whole one in its totality, but I'll also give you an abbreviated one just around the mission statement.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate all the work that you've been doing with us to get us to this point. It's been a heavy lift and you've been right there with us. And so deep appreciations for the work and we look forward to the next phase.
Awesome. I'll get you everything you need. You'll get it by early tomorrow morning.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, fellow trustees, let's get rolling. We'll now have bond construction update. Josh Bowman.
Shoes on. Go up.
He's coming up later.
It looks like it should.
Only 52.
Put in a work order.
Only 52 questions.
Put in a work order, yep.
Is that Sean?
Yes, she's waiting.
Charlie, I'm over here asking. Okay, let's roll.
Kids first.
Charlie got in the room to read.
Glad it wasn't a game on tonight, McClendon.
Hey. Monday Night Football. We have our priorities.
Can we
I could
start?
be singing Wicked right now.
Download this and start the show?
No, it's
Do I have to scroll?
PDF and not.
That's
It still usually works in PDF. Yeah.
Told my
was
wife
that?
going to see the
Put in
second
that
by
board on the
herself.
slideshow, it's still, the clicker should still work.
Is it?
I should have said
You know, she's an AKA.
There's some kind of way they make it bigger.
The last couple of
I fell asleep.
Oh, that's probably why. Hold on. Yeah, because that's what we do it.
Oh, this thing. Let's see again.
That's what musicals are.
Charlie knows every song. If he's done it.
Why don't you try Defying Gravity?
Oh my God. You know who you're talking to, right?
Is that your email up or mine?
Mine.
I emailed his to you as a Google Doc. You go back to the original email for me. It should have came through as a Google Doc. Right there. Right there where it says bond.
Oh, thank you.
Right there. Oh, but it still says PDF.
I still might be able to do it. Nope. Sorry, I'll have to have you scroll.
I'll scroll.
I broke it.
Okay, real quick update on the bond project. More pictures than words, hopefully.
Yes.
And then Herb will tap in when I am finished and speak with you about the upcoming no-cost bond. So this is a breakdown of the total allocations for Springfield and Northwestern. What did I do, skip a slide? Did. Go back here. This is the timeline from the original project back in January of 22. Okay, we've already hit the Springfield deadline. We are upcoming on hitting the Northwestern deadline. All that to say, with design teams, engineering teams, 50 different contracting teams, over 250 different people, we are on time to finish this project and move into Northwestern in March.
Alrighty.
This next slide is it's the cost allocation, right? And I showed you this because I want you to know that there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that was done. Over 70% of the remodeling costs at Springfield were dedicated to electrical, mechanical, things that are behind the walls and above the ceilings that you will not see, okay? That's 70% at Springfield, roughly 50% at Northwestern. There was more focus on an interior finish perspective at Northwestern, but you'll see that as you walk through and compare the spaces. Again, the original scope of work at Springfield was based around mechanical, plumbing, and electrical. We upgraded complete HVAC systems and included AC additions to all spaces within the building. We also upgraded domestic hot water and hot water heating systems and transformers and switchgear. And we also completed replacement of all exterior doors and windows. Those first 2 points are consistent with Northwestern when we get there as well. Ceilings, lighting fixtures, and switching to provide dimmable fixtures in classrooms for functionality. And then we renovated the old home ec room. I don't know if anybody ever saw that, but it had like 7 different stations of stoves and refrigerators and all that stuff. We pulled all that stuff out of there, made it a more functional and flexible space. And that was one of the biggest interior things that we did in Springfield. As well as we divided room C26 into an A and B to provide additional classroom spaces. And we reconstructed the west parking lots and put in new storm drainage systems. I put these pictures, these are my favorite ones, right? Nobody likes these but me. But I put these on here because there's...
Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah, right? I mean,
Fantastic.
this is art, right? And there's a lot of money in these rooms, and I want everybody to see that these are high-efficiency boilers. They're variable frequency drive pumps. Like, this is energy efficiency at its best right here.
Cool.
And I want to make sure everybody knows that this is kind of the end goal when it came to mechanical efficiencies.
It's so clean. It's amazing.
Yeah, right? It's very nice. They did a really good job. That is an elevation of Springfield's, I guess it's their north elevation, prior to any of the building envelope and facade work. This is a elevation of the building now, the same elevation. As you can see, new storefront, exterior windows, fascia painting, new windows there in the gym.
It's really nice in the dome gym. Windows there.
This is a classroom space, C26, the one we divided into 2 to make more space for students.
Just one big room, classroom?
This was one large room, then we just put an interior wall in there and separated all the mechanicals and made 2 separate spaces. This is the old home ec room on the right here. And then on the left there is all the interior. It's basically a plan for what we did on the interior spaces. We tried to mirror some of the colors that we pulled from Northwestern over to Springfield, so it creates a consistency. So in selfish ways, it's easier for us when we go to repaint or anything like that. So. The photo on the right there is the skylight, so we were still able to capture some of the natural light into the spaces in the corridors and and not use as much of the artificial light. Additional work that we did above and beyond the original scope that contingency funds allowed us to do. We installed a new fire alarm system, we upgraded the gym floor, and we reconstructed the asphalt drive near the rear of the building. And then we did obviously the interior painting. Those are photos of the new gym floor at Springfield.
That floor is magnificent.
This is actually the same specifications that's going into Northwestern, and you'll see that coming up as well. We were lucky enough to get the same contractor, came through in the bidding process to do both schools for us. It just provides a consistency that's very helpful when you're doing these larger projects. All right, so we're out of Springfield and we're in Northwestern, so hard hats on, safety glasses, high vis vest.
Let's go. Fire it up.
Again, the original bond scope from a mechanical, electrical, and plumbing standpoint is mirroring what we did at Springfield. The only difference that we did additionally was the dehumidification unit in the natatorium. I put that on there because the non-existence of a dehumidification unit before in the space cost us a roof. So we're planning ahead and doing the right thing.
It's very steamy in that room.
Yeah, and it will not be anymore. And if there is, there's something wrong.
That's great.
Transformer and switchgear upgrades as well. We did put a central bell and clock system in Northwestern, and also provided a secure vestibule with lockdown capability for both Grace Health and the main entrance there. The lockdown, I had notes here, I'm trying to shuffle. In the event of a lockdown, we'll be able to basically hit a button that will override all the exterior doors, close everything off, not allow people to fob in, and also close all the main entrance doors to the Welcome Center and lock them down, right? Now this lockdown can be overridden by authorities that would come into the building with a fob that is programmed for them to be overridden. But otherwise, in that event, it locks everything, including the Welcome Center, completely down. You'll see consistencies between these two boiler rooms from a mechanical, electrical, plumbing perspective. That's because the same contractor did Springfield and Northwestern together. Again, it just helps kind of marry everything, and it's a lot easier for us on that end.
If you got a maintenance guy who knows how to keep one up.
Exactly,
Keep them all
exactly,
up.
and that's pretty consistent with all the ESSER projects that we've been doing as well, right? They're all train units, all the rooftops and all the unit ventilators in the classrooms are all the same. So once we get trained on one, we are consistent to move through, and we're basically trained on all 7 schools. That picture on your left is our fire suppression system at Northwestern. That was another expensive photo that I wanted to put in there. But that's behind the walls and above the ceiling. That's something you'll never see. So
That is behind the wall above.
this riser system is actually in the boiler room.
Yeah.
But all of your, obviously all of your suppression heads will be at ceiling height.
Okay.
So you won't notice them as you walk through the building unless you're looking. Again, as I mentioned, complete removal and replacement of all exterior doors and windows. The difference, obviously, to Northwestern versus Springfield was that we did do some additions as well. Obviously, the entire Welcome Center is brand new with some rooms for Grace Health that include a reception area, a restroom, a couple of exam rooms, and some storage for them as well. We did add the 2 new kindergarten rooms as well, and they have their own restrooms, and we also added 2 restrooms for both first grade classes and 2 restrooms for both second grade classes. And then obviously the dance room and the choir room on the northeast section of the building. And from a site work perspective, we've got a combination of milling and full depth replacement on asphalt. And then I'm sure you've seen as you've driven by the addition of the basketball court and the playground. So that is a before. I don't know when that was taken. I pulled that right from the website. And then that is an after.
Wow.
Yes, it is.
We took that at 5:30 in the morning because we wanted to get the site lighting. But it looks pretty. I was actually impressed to see the Bearcat there from the street, right?
I was impressed with that slide there with the name on it.
And this is the Welcome Center portion of the building. So after you come in through the secured vestibule, you'll hit the Welcome Center. The left photo there is a picture of the secured vestibule, and then the right-hand photo there is a picture of the workroom inside the Welcome Center for the staff. Plenty of storage. I hope.
We'll know.
Then here are Grace Health photos. That's a photo of their reception area as well as one of their exam rooms.
Same colors as the main site, Grace Health.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, they did bring them over. They did. And then these are pictures of the kindergarten classrooms, individual cubbies for all the students, and then sinks and storage as well. The left is individual bathrooms. The right is just the main hallway corridor leading to the elementary addition. Interior remodeling and refinishes. Obviously, we've renovated every single interior space in the building, including new ceilings, lighting, painting, casework, visual display units. That was an important one because we actually increased the amount of visual display units that we had to try to avoid them, the staff, posting stuff on the walls, as it's easier for us from a maintenance perspective. So, new gym flooring, bleachers, basketball hoops, divider curtains, wall pads, acoustical ceiling panels. And then the natatorium, we re-roofed. We tore the complete roof off the natatorium, recoated all the structural steel, reinstalled the new roof, put new lighting in it, and we do still have the pool drain, but we plan on cleaning and regrouting that prior to refilling, as that is the original tile in that pool. This is a picture of the interior classroom spaces. That's a typical classroom there with the marker board and visual display boards on the side. That is actually mirrored to the other wall, so there's actually two 16-foot sections of marker board in each classroom.
Like the natatorium ceiling, was there like water damage? Like why was that all?
So the issue was brought about by not having any dehumidification in the space, right? So what happens is the chlorine combines and rises up to the top, and then ends up eating the structural deck out. And that's exactly what happened, and that's why we had to replace it.
And it's been solved.
It's been solved. Yep, it's brand new.
I love hearing your place. I love hearing more that's replaced and fixed for next time.
Yeah. This just shows you the differences. The left is a kindergarten classroom. The right is a kind of higher educational classroom. Obviously, those visual display units and marker boards are at an entirely different elevation to suit. There's the gym. It's pretty fantastic, and you're going to really do ooh when you see it in real life. But the interesting thing about the gym is that there's 6 basketball hoops and a divider curtain. And as you're using the space and you want to flex the space, all of those things can be operated simultaneously, which means that when Lauren's in there trying to practice one sport and needs to switch over to another, he doesn't have to stand there and wait for 10 minutes for each hoop to go up.
Nice.
So, very, very functional for him.
Those babies have access.
This is the natatorium space. As you can see, all the structural steel has been recoated. All the deck has been replaced. All the new lighting has been dropped in. That perimeter you see is actually a duct sock that controls or that distributes the heating and ventilation.
Our board team building is a pool party.
I'll have to get her film first, but yeah.
Hold you to that.
Test it out. Make sure the chemicals are right.
And then last but not least is the auditorium. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of pictures for the auditorium yet because we're still working on it, but they'll be turned over by March 1st with new lighting and lighting controls, new sound system, new acoustical ceiling, which I think you're going to love the design of, new seating and sound, and then new flooring in the lobby, auditorium, stage, dressing rooms, and scene shop. So these are interesting pictures to me. That entire ceiling on the left-hand side had to go, and then we replaced it with the tracks up for the new ceiling, and then the sail design in front is supposed to help with acoustics as well. So that picture was taken like 3 days ago, so that is where we're at from a progress perspective in the auditorium. moving as fast as
Are
they
all the
can.
chairs gone then?
All the chairs are gone.
The old ones?
Yep.
Those from like the 70s?
Yeah, early 60s.
Like earlier than
They
was.
like, it's the picture when I was in junior high.
63 or 65.
Carved your initials in there, they were probably
I
still.
did not.
That's good to know.
So additional work we completed with this, we also installed the new fire alarm system here. We upgraded all the site lighting to LEDs as we had some issues with wiring conditions when we were excavating. We chose to epoxy floor the gang bathrooms and the locker rooms. The epoxy is just to help from a longevity perspective. It's easier from a maintenance perspective. You don't have to refinish it every year like you do a wax floor. So this should help reduce lifetime costs for that. Locker room wall tile, we did that for the same reason as well. The old tile was an ugly green color, and we brought in a white and a blue and a yellow. I saved that one because you're going to want to see that in real life to really appreciate it. And then I mentioned the increase in the parking lot scope. And again, just to conclude, both projects were on time and under budget. Based on the original allocated amounts and timelines, we do still have 3 or so months left. I don't anticipate any other outcomes in those 3 months. And we still have contingency funds to be allocated as needed, and construction will push through with turnover on 3/1.
That's just amazing.
Going for a tour.
I was trying not to ask.
Good job, John. Thank you.
I got a question. The outside, because you didn't show the outside, and I'm just curious. There are 2 large yellow gates. Are those permanent on the
Yes.
outside?
Yes.
Is that, so what's
Just
the,
allows to control traffic flow. So if there's a big event or something, you don't want them coming in 2 entrances, you can flush the one off and just open the second.
so I was kind of curious because they redid it, and I know it gets congested in there. So I was trying to figure out if the gates were-
We'll be able to do what we want to do with them based on if we're having an event versus if we're having a regular school day. So we can open and close on our discretion.
And the buses will still come in that way or still in the front?
The buses will come in off of Roseneath.
Roseneath?
Yep.
Okay.
And the parent drop-off will be on limit.
We really appreciate the update. Community's been asking about it, so.
It's exciting, it certainly is. It's
It
3
is.
years in the making. and
Fantastic.
I'm ready for it to be done.
Job well done.
All right.
Couple more.
Okay.
Everybody shake it around a little bit, shake it off here.
You got a lot of
All right, a question before we transition.
Well, I love the pictures, and they're great.
Yeah.
Are we gonna do a walk?
I was gonna ask that if we could get a tour.
So it's being turned over on March 1st. It'll be cleaned during the month of April, and then we'll have a ribbon cutting for VIPs in May. So VIPs being school board and some of our community partners. And then it will open to the public in August, July, August.
Okay. And then for Springfield, same question, because I know that one was simultaneous to being open, but it'd be nice to see that too.
Okay, so that was not on our radar, but let's schedule a board walkthrough of Springfield. All right.
Weekend or something?
And former board member.
Wow, tough crowd.
Right.
No longer
Right.
Always be.
Be my guest.
Y'all goes your +1.
All right, guys, well, again, thank you so much for your time, and again, you guys have no idea what Josh does and how he keeps it, especially with the background. As you had a chance to see those new boilers, if you think about how we took them down there, some of those country boilers were probably as large as this room, if not more.
Exactly.
So now not only are we streamlined, they're cleaner and they're more efficient. So overall, it's going to save the district quite a bit of money. So I'm very happy and pleased to be a part of that. So now I'm going to go into the part of the moving forward. This is what we're going to go to next, the next step here. So I'm going to try to keep it here. Although I'm Baptist, Charlie put me on 3 minutes on the clock.
That's right. I got
He
you.
was like, quick.
Here we go. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it done.
He likes the music.
So the first thing I want to bring up to you guys is this, is that as you've seen the amount of money that was given to us, the one thing we want to make our community know and make sure they understand is that we are good stewards of what we do. And the definition of being a good steward means responsibly managing and taking care of something entrusted to you, using them wisely and with a focus on serving others and honoring the source of those gifts. So we want to make sure we look at the community and those that we serve, which are our students and our staff. We want to make sure. So looking forward with what we have coming on here, you guys know we just did a massive master plan. We need over $139 million to get our district back to where it needs to be. We need $139 million. So let that sink in. We just dropped $44 million in 2 schools. We need another $139 million. Average age of our schools are 75 years, and we have 2 of them that are hitting the century mark and are over 100 years old. So just let that sink in. What we want to go is make sure that the community understands we're going after no increase to the tax burden, 0 millage increase on the bond. Although we're going to ask, it's going to look like we want 25 million, 20 million, but it's going to be no increase on the bond. And we're working on verbiage that we will all be able to go out to let people know. We want to make sure we let them know, as we've done with Springfield and with Northwestern, careful allocation of the bond proceeds. So again, we have it laid out in what we're going to do with the monies. And also our sinking funds. Sinking funds are very important, so as Josh mentioned, when something does go wrong, something does go haywire, we're able to not go into any general funds, but we're able to go into those sinking funds and fix it. So it's like our rainy day fund for what we do here in the buildings. Okay? We want to make progress on that $134 million building upgrades that we need, and we're just seeking to leverage that in May of 2025 to approximately $20 to $25 million. $25 million. And again, no cost, 0 mil. That's it. No increase to the tax burden of the community. We want to make sure we let them know that. There's no cost to them. The bond will allow us to make critical improvements to our schools, ensuring safe, modern, and effective learning environments for students without raising taxes. Here are the phases: security, recreation, and building envelope. We know it's important that we have security in our building, so we want to make sure we have those cameras going in. Card access. We want to make sure the fob reader we have is antiquated. End of life is coming up. We want to make sure we have a new one ready to go. And then interior keying. Right now, Josh has a drawer that has about 1,050 keys for all of the buildings in the district. Kim on hers has 75. And we want to get her down to 2. So we want to work on some interior. Thank you. I'm almost there. Almost there. So we want to get those keying, and that's huge. The other thing we want to do is the recreation. Now again, if you guys happen to see what we did at Northwestern for those playgrounds, think about that with what we do in Lemoore, Fremont, Valley View, Post Franklin, and Verona. Think about that. If anyone that lives in those neighborhoods, they bring their kids to that playground, or the kids say, Mom, I want to go to my school and play on my playground. That's going to be huge. That's going to be something that's going to resonate, and again, be an attraction to the community. And again, the exterior benches and receptacles so you can sit down, bring a Subway sandwich, pack a lunch, have a chance to do that, those type of things. And last but not least, we want the building envelope. As Josh said, it is the last thing that people don't know we do. But just like today, if there's a leak or if there's something that doesn't look right, those are things that we want to make attractive to our district as well. As I alluded to, and we all know, our building average age is 75 years old, with 2 of them over 100. Now, they're all in great shape. Literally, as we all say, we got good bones. But in order to maintain and manage them, it costs money. And that's what we want to do. And one thing I do love and I truly appreciate about Josh is he's forward thinker like I am. He wants to think the long game. He wants to think, how can we do this? As he mentioned, consistency in the HVAC units, consistency in the flooring, consistently in our color palette. So every time we have to do that now, the cost of a gallon of paint might go up, but we know what color. We're not struggling to find that color. But at the same time, we'll be able to do that. So if we have to do a paint project for all the rooms, he can tell me, he can give me a spreadsheet. He's not here. He can give me a spreadsheet and tell me how many millions of square feet that we have to paint. Break it down and know how much paint we have to have and by color. And that's something we really want to do. And last but not least, I want to hit on this CW post. You know, we dropped a amount of money to get a wonderful field and a track around it. Now we have to invest about $1.3 million in the actual stadium. That's going to be something else. Now again, I tease my colleague, you know how I know. You want your house to look good when people come to it. So when other people come to our field looks great, track looks great. Now we want them to feel good when they're sitting up there. So we're going to look to the home bleachers And we're gonna do something on the visitors, and the visitor is huge, because we're gonna put visitor lockers over there, concession stand, as well as revamp those bleachers. So then now people will want to come to our field, CW Post. And it's something we want to do. So I apologize, I went over my time. Any questions?
Is that 13, is that million there?
Yeah, 1.35 million is what
Is that just for the building envelopes project?
No, it's for CW Post.
Oh, CW Post.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
So, I mean, yeah, we look, this is great, and we get another 100 million plus, you know, like.
Only 25 this time, 25.
Right, so, yeah, another 110.
Oh, another 110 to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so like, you know, what, or we can keep like, what's the next step, I guess?
Sure.
Are we there yet?
Well, and again, we will talk about that. There'll probably be another bond that we will look at and do. One thing again with Josh is we do look at the long game. What are we going to be able to do? Believe it or not, quiet as kept. One of those little projects in there is trying to tear down Southwestern. And that's something that we know will help us in the long game.
Yeah.
So, more specifically, this, as it stated, this is a 10-year phase. And so phase 1 is, can we capture the 20 million? If we don't capture it in May, then it just rolls off. This is our only opportunity to do a zero tax increase. So we want to capture that 20 to 25 million. Then we will leverage our sinking funds. We're going to have to go after some grants. And then maybe 7 years down the road, the community will be ready to support another bond. But we don't want to do a tax increase right now because they just gave us the money for
Yes.
phase 1.
Thank you for that.
So that's our thinking.
All the above, yeah,
Yes.
continue, got it, thank you.
All right.
Any other questions or point of clarification?
It's exciting.
That it is.
Very much so.
So I want to end on the fact that you all have roles in passing a bond, and so it's going to take all of us to really get the message out. And we'll be talking more about what your ambassador position is to help us make sure we get it passed. Because May is a month that most people don't get out, but it is our last opportunity to capture this. So, thank you.
Thank you. Moving down to school report, Valley View. Courtney Shorter.
Hi. Mine is Canva, so I'm probably gonna have to. Oh, I just have.
That's why I thought all the other ones would work
Okay.
too.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I'm here to tell the story of growth, excellence, and educational accomplishments at Valley View. My proudest moments. So, major achievement spotlight, we have exited the TSI designation. We're no longer a targeted support improvement school deemed by the MDE. So that was like,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Great job.
So in this presentation, it's going to demonstrate the significant improvements that we've made in student achievement to get there, result of focused effort by faculty, staff, and administration, and validation of our strategic improvement initiatives as we were talking about earlier, our TOA and our strategic plan to get there. So, overview. This one is, I'm sorry I didn't make an update on this one, but this is talking about the update survey that we just took not too long ago. I did have 67% of my faculty participate in this survey. I'm not sure how many parents participated, but they were also involved in the survey. There were 71 questions across 21 different categories. In many areas, Valley View exceeded district averages in some of these areas, so I'm going to highlight those today. And there are multiple indicators of success and growth, as you will see. So evidence of success, again, we were removed from the TSI designation. Right now, 65% of our students are engaged in the AR program. We are among the highest in the district right now with that initiative.
AR stands for
Accelerated Reader.
Okay.
There's some strong academic growth metrics that you'll see later on, and proof that we're data-driven and showing some results. So our first area that we scored high in and well above the district was equal opportunities and excellence. 100% of staff reported that they had equal access to opportunities regardless of their background. in coaching in certain areas that they might not know. We're able to coach them through that. 100% confirm that administrators in our building value diverse perspectives. 95% rating on administrative respect for all backgrounds. And this is just demonstrating our commitment to inclusive excellence. Now, we are still working on that mindset shift that we're having with students in equity. One thing that I'm doing, here's an example of how this is probably increasing, is that at every meeting that we have when we're together as our opening and welcoming inclusion, I go through the equity imperative with them, and I have them reflect and think about how they see themselves in that imperative and in the work that we're doing each time. So it's more of a reflection question, a prompt for them to write down and share with their partner to share ideas on how we can increase that. The other area that we scored high in was care and commitment. That showed up in the other survey that was presented this evening. It showed that 100% of teachers demonstrate care for student and well-being. 95% of teachers go above and beyond for student support. 95% take shared responsibility for school success. And we were 8 points above the district average on that.
This is based on like parents' response?
Parents, this is the parent section.
Okay, so.
I was wondering that too. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, if I was a teacher, I'm not
Of
going to say,
course,
no, I don't.
Yeah, that was the parent portion of it. There's certain areas that are. Next area was instructional leadership. 100% compliance with data-driven student progress monitoring. This is where I guess they were looking at admin. 95% positive rating for clear vision and communication. When we were talking about vision statements, I present that every morning so they know exactly where we're headed. They know what we're working on each time. So I was pretty proud of that because that's hard work. 80% effective rating for instructional leadership, and they claim that they feel that there's strong support in their classrooms from administration. Here's some student achievement data. Some of it's repeated. Like I said, we have 65% of students using the accelerated reader program, among the highest in the district. We're significantly above the district trend line for that. And AR is basically students reading books, and then they're tested on their whether or not they comprehended what they were reading. So we're just really trying to increase literacy and getting books in hands of kids, and then seeing if they're actually doing it rather than fake reading, doing those things.
Are you still getting like points for it?
They do get points. Each teacher has a tracker in their classroom, so it's very competitive. They're trying to beat their, they have a percentage that they have to meet by the end of the year. Most of them have already met it, so they're exceeding that even. So. And then most of this has contributed to our exit from TSI and my MyCap plan that I had to work on all last year. The other one was collaborative culture in the building. 95% of teachers help to improve each other's practices. That has not been easy because we had to build trust in one another, and that was a lot of work. They feel that they're engaging in meaningful teamwork. 75% trust in relationships among staff. I would want to guess that was probably very low when I first came. They did not trust each other, and now we're building that through our PLC process. And that is above our district average.
What is PLC?
Professional learning community. That's where they come together with their grade level, and we go through the DeForest 4 questions of the PLC process. Yep. So we've been really, really working hard toward that. Some other notable achievements. They like the evaluation process and the feedback process that we offer at Valley View through coaching and evaluating their teaching. I was pretty proud of that. Inclusive practices, we're at 79%. It could be higher. We're really working towards that to have inclusion and making sure everybody, especially in that student lens, the students are feeling that way. I feel the staff are feeling that we have more inclusivity with staff, but we're really focusing on students. And then the principal/teacher trust. When I saw that, I was like, oh, thank goodness. And then they're feeling that they're supported by the community as well there. So moving forward, we're gonna celebrate the TSI status removal, but we're not stopping. We're committed to continued growth. We're gonna try to sustain what we're already doing and make it better moving forward. And just to sum it up, again, we were removed from the TSI. It's validating our student achievement. I'm trying to go down to the bottom. Again, instructional leadership, 92%, care and commitment, 97%, collaboration, 87%, and just using that data for creating a very strong foundation to really get those academics, because they're not where they need to be right now, but we're really, really working towards that. And getting kids to school, attendance as well. So those are the things that I'm most proud of Valley View right now. What questions do you have, or anything that you want me to follow up on?
So I'm just curious, I don't know the last time you reviewed this, so this is something that popped in my mind. As you reflect on what you saw in the surveys, was there anything that surprised you as an opportunity that you want to dig into?
The school safety.
Okay.
School safety it came up, and it's something we work towards a lot with systems and structures. And we're really trying to figure it out there and making sure everybody feels safe. I just feel like it's across the board right now, just not feeling safe in the building. Thank you.
Anything else? Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to add a footnote that the board can see that she has really implemented the Upbeat survey, and so that's the survey that you all voted for us to implement, so that we have some feedback from staff that they can give us. And this is being implemented in all schools across the district, so that we have real context around the experiences of families, students, and our staff. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. Okay. National School Board Association Annual Conference. I'm going to refer this to Trustee Fulbright.
Okay, we're gonna make this quick and easy. No, you're not getting the So in April is the National School Board Association Annual Conference. We have in our budget, we are able to send 2 people. I am requesting to go as one of the people because as a board member for MASB, they're paying for my conference. The district would just have to pay for my flight and hotel. So I'm wondering if we can discuss, and we don't have to, but if we want to send someone with me, and if someone would like to go, if not, that's fine also. But then in new business, we'll be voting so we can put that on our books. So thoughts?
Where's it going to be?
Atlanta, Georgia, April 3rd through the 7th, the day after my birthday.
The last one was too.
I know.
ATL.
That's my family anyway. My question is, so, because it's not something that we normally have attended in the past, and we have the budget. I know you mentioned it, but
Yep, so actually, the last 2 years we've done it, so this would be the 3rd. And I think because 2 years ago, it was brand new, after, Catherine and Patty went.
And I went, that's right.
Me and Patty went.
something else.
So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to also represent Michigan and our state and Battle Creek specifically, and yeah.
One thing I would add now, the overall president of the National School Board Association is from Michigan.
He is. He's on. Yep. He's with MASB.
Pretty neat.
And I like to implement that, not implement, but I like to share that you will go and you'll see board members from all over the United States. And if you say, well, that doesn't happen in my district, you'll be able to hear others say even things worse, like, whoa, we're not in that bad shape. So I'm serious. I found it completely amazing. I really did. Because with the attendance that we have, disciplines in our buildings, it's across the board. We're not the only ones. Yeah. So that was a good thing that I really got out of that.
When is it?
April 3rd through the 7th, and I think, so just to clarify, the vote this at the end of the agenda is how many individuals we want to send.
Yes.
So,
Raise your hand if you're interested.
Might be.
Okay,
That's great.
that's wonderful.
There are some others
Yeah,
I'm willing to
and Dr. Shea
send some new.
is in here, so she might be interested too.
I gotta check that date though. I don't have another conference.
Okay,
That's all I got.
that's it. Thank you. At least we got an idea of who's all interested.
Yeah.
Okay, we've already done the recognition of the holiday card artist.
No F.
Board of Directors.
So that's me again.
Yeah, that is you.
Okay, so as you know, we in Region 6 for the Michigan Association of School Boards has 2 directors. One is from Comstock. You all probably got an email from her recently. And the other was Kathleen Moore from Lakeview. So since her passing, her seat is available. It's vacant. It's a 1-year term. Nominations are open from now until January 8th. So anyone in Region 6 can go to the MASB website and apply, but only one person from each district, and they have to be endorsed by our board. None of us have to do it, but it's offered and it's up, and we have till January 5th. If one of you wants to be the second rep, I'm not considered a rep because I'm at large, so.
That was my question.
Yeah, so I'm there. Region 6. It was Lakeview and Comstock. I'm at large, so I'm still Region. Well, actually, I'm at large.
Everybody.
You're everywhere.
I'm everywhere.
But how long is your term?
3 years. Well, 2 years coming up after.
Okay.
Yes.
And these terms are,
3-year terms, but this specific one is only a 1-year term because she was already for 2 years.
it's partial.
Filling
How
hers.
was that seat? Anybody in our area? Did you know?
In Region 6.
6.
I mean, that's us, Lakeview, Harper, Penfield, Comstock, Kalamazoo. Maybe.
That southwest corner of the state.
It's.
There's a lot.
Mhm.
A lot.
So I'm just throwing that out there. If any of you are interested, we just, before January 8th, the board has to vote that we support you, and then you do your own nomination thing on their website. But if you're not, that's completely fine too, because before January 8th, we'll be getting emails from potential people that, candidates.
So maybe by next Monday, we should know, so we can vote on that person. Or do we vote on them?
I mean, no, we got time. There's
We got time, okay.
But by
good.
next Monday,
got
we
time.
should know if one of us wants to run.
Right.
That's fair.
Okay, thank you. That's all I got.
Okay, reports and recommendations. Northwestern Furniture Package, Brenda DeMont. And thank you for being so patient.
Marathon.
All right, what I'm bringing for you tonight is a recommendation for additional furniture at Northwestern to outfit all the classrooms and other areas. The recommendation is that we are over budget, not over budget, we're at our budget with a bond, so requesting that this $250,000 comes out of our district fund balance. And right now, it looks like it's going to be about a 1% impact on that fund balance. Taking that out.
Any questions?
I know that we have contingency funds that are used. Is it ever possible for this recommendation to use the contingency funds for this amount of money?
So we've used, I think Dr. Harvey wants to kind of.
do. So, remember when I first presented the furniture package, that was just for classroom furniture. And so we have to outfit the entire building. That's including office spaces, the welcome center, the dance studios, the specialized arts classrooms, science labs, from chair to table to all equipment, storage. So what we decided was we weren't going to return any of the old stuff back into a new building. So we're having to spend money to outfit the entire building. So $371,000 was allocated in the bond. Contingency funds of $111,000 is being utilized toward this aim. So a total furniture package is $750,000. That's the number we're trying to get to. So last time you approved 2 something. And then this time we're approving the balance, but that's taking into consideration contingency funds, what the bond allocation was originally, $75,000 in WKKF funding, and the balance of that is what
The fund balance.
Brenda is asking for.
Well, we obviously don't want to be half-stepping
No,
and
we
putting
don't.
back in old furniture in a brand-new school, so I personally don't see how we can not do it.
Any other questions, comments?
When you say fund balance, that's like 32%, that, and then you're saying a 1% reduction from that, right?
So this was those conversations we had about perfect use is one time is, so.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. Okay, Dudley Transition Plan, Dr. Harvey.
Yes. Go this
She's the president.
Amazing things are happening in Battle Creek Public Schools, and one of them I'm really, really excited about. So as you talk about the transformation in the Washington Heights area, you know that we have to big and dream big. And so not only is the Northwestern Academy of Visual and Performing Arts part of this transformation, we are recommending that we take Dudley STEM and transform that into our early childhood center that will service students or families birth to pre-K. So then you can see the whole transformation. If Dudley becomes an early childhood center from birth to pre-K, then they will go to the Academy of Visual and Performing Arts at Northwestern from K to 8th grade, all in one area in the Washington Heights area. So I had no other person that I knew who knew this area best and was the expert in early childhood, and that is Dr. Chandra Youngblood. So she has created a transition plan for us to highlight what this would look like. So Dr. Youngblood is online, and she's going to walk through the plan with us.
Good evening, Chandra.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all. And it's good to see Cabinet back in the. So let me make sure that I have sharing capabilities. No, I had to send a request.
So she will share her screen.
There she is, yay.
All right.
Hey, Chandra.
Okay, let's see here. Yep. All right, let me go there and.
Stay away.
All right, I am going to. You all have gotten a lot of information tonight. I've been here since the beginning of business. So I'm gonna
It's
keep it
normally
moving.
not like this.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
It's normally not like this.
I know. We have those ups and downs, right? So, but I do want you to make sure you understand the work that we've done to be able to present to you the idea and the concept so that, we can move forward with your approval. So, Dr. Harvey just basically alluded to, I have been working on early childhood initiatives in the district for 2 decades, and some of you all are right along with me. And we've seen the changes and the growth in quality, access, and kindergarten readiness just grow exponentially. And so my work for the district has been and continues to be through this project focused on providing quality care and education for Battle Creek Public Schools' youngest Bearcats. A lot of the work from the Believe in the Change initiatives put a laser-like focus on strengthening the trajectory of the students, so, to post-secondary. And the commitment to early childhood is evident in our early intervention programs at the K-2 level with tutoring and all those other resources we put in place, and the Kindergarten Success Program, our KSP. Research shows that children who have a strong start in their early years from birth to age 8 tend to achieve to their full potential. We have been focusing on the 4 to 8 range, and
and have really been intentional about that. So you know that currently there are just a very few childcare centers in the Washington Heights Northside area. And we know with the recent loss of a childcare pillar in that community creates an even greater need over there. So this opportunity at Dudley allows Battle Creek Public Schools to expand their its early childhood programs by including early care and education in the district with just because there are just so few providers and us already being educators. Dudley would be that innovation center for the cradle to career continuum that we've already are striving for in that Washington Heights Northside area and the greater Battle Creek Public Schools as a whole. Choosing Dudley for this location is timely and necessary and responsible because of the need. As I mentioned, it's been identified, and especially with children under the age of 3, and we're investigating that a little bit more in the coming weeks to just see how many birth to 3 kiddos do we have that would need this service. The timing of the Northwestern Innovation Center opening in the fall of 2025 makes this an opportune time to transition Dudley to avoid having an additional vacant building to maintain as well. The vicinity of the building to get to the travel route to Fort Custer Industrial Park, where many of our district parents work, is less than 15 minutes. In addition, we have been hearing over the past few years the employees asking or suggesting, mentioning a need for childcare for their children that kind of corresponds to district hours. And Dudley is less than 10 minutes from 6 of our buildings. A committee has been formed and is expanding. It has some community members, but we're also expanding and some other community partners as we work through this, so we can connect with parents and the parents of young children to identify the needs and the desires for their infants and toddlers, and then partner with them to learn, what their needs are. So this Dudley Early Care and Education Center, unofficial name, we haven't named anything, will be an additional business for the district like the OEC and Serial City Science. Several things have already been researched and identified for consideration when we're starting and maintaining a new business, such as the liability insurance, accounting needs, payment services, and fee structures. When you look at the market rates from Kalamazoo to Lansing, they range from $650 to $1,200 a month across West Michigan. And we know that the state child care subsidy is awarded to eligible applicants based on their financial need and the number of children they have, and the child care expenses, and their available funding, of course. And so that's also a factor to take in from the business standpoint. So when we look at feasibility for this new business venture that Battle Creek could potentially take, the recommended fee scale and budget have been developed, and the fee scale ranges from $700 to $900 a month, depending again on the age and the amount of care. Current GSRP and ECSC classes are planned to remain at Dudley and maintain their current funding, and there will be options for 5th day GSRP and also full tuition-based preschool options, which will be fee-based. And full capacity, we talked about this earlier. I had 214, and I got some new information earlier of some thinking that Mr. Bish is thinking about. So we could be between 2 and around 240, and then 85% would be around 180 students. And I use that number for a purpose, because when you look at what your break-even point as far as before you're making a profit, it's at 85%. So we know that starting out, we probably would not open with 85% full capacity, but we might, because people know we're fabulous already, right? But in case we don't and we are growing it, we know that our target is 85% capacity, so that we can offset the expenses of of the center. So we have already started some of the work in the background because we needed to determine, is this something we can do? And we didn't want to that to the board without knowing that this was actually a feasible task to take on. So we started first with facilities. The building, Dudley, is no spring chicken. So we wanted to make sure that it was up to standards that are heightened at the early childhood level. And Josh has been just a really great partner working with me on that, and his partners that he has with Northwestern and others. So we've gotten inspections and we know what upgrades need to be made. And I'm not sure if he's already brought some of those to you or not tonight, or if that's on the agenda. We've also, I've done research on curriculum and already met with Greg and Teresa. Looked into outfitting the building with several, using several different companies, just getting some ideas for amounts, the staffing needs based on ratio that's required by Michigan childcare licensing, budgeting, building plans, technology needs, and the outdoor play space plans. And so in order to launch, there are some financial needs. And so initial expenses, I broke it down across three kind of buckets. So the initial expenses, kind of like what you talked about with Northwestern, we will need furniture. Now we have our early childhood preschool rooms have fairly new furniture, and we would try to match that furniture so that the building has a consistent feel. One of the things that we did a few years ago was all natural wood because it's safer and aesthetically more pleasing than plastic furniture. Machines, upgrades to the building, supplies, the fire alarm system and the water filtration system. I have italicized because they have legal ramifications. They are required by the state of Michigan. And so those are definitely things that we have to get done and are looking into getting that work done. And it's a regardless kind of thing, right? It's not just if we do this or not, but if we are going to keep the building open for any children, we need to do it. And then administrator pre-opening work. So there's all kinds of documents that need to be established, and partnering with HR for hiring and all those things. And so, I got a typo, but the monthly, and then the monthly cost times 2 is 171. That's basically salaries and just running the building. And then the annual recurring expenses are the things that any building would have, except the teach scholarships. We want to roll that in because we are all about homegrowning quality teachers. And there's you probably know this, if not from me, but from your other work, that there is a shortage of early childhood teachers and workers. And so we feel like with our pathways at the high school and some of the staff and even growing parents and students in our district to be teachers in our programs. So that Teach Scholarship would support that, and the district pays a minimal part and the state pays the rest. And then the consumable supplies, and something we haven't done is credit card processing. So that's gonna have to be a new piece, and we'll, there's comes with that, there's fees. And then food costs, I still am in conversation with Michelle about what grants are available for birth to 3. So that's still up in the air. And then monthly costs, like I said, is mostly salary and benefits, but then there's parent involvement, and then the fees that we may have from credit card processing and any other things that may come up. So that is it in a nutshell. Questions, and I do want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about this. I'm really excited about it. I hope you guys are too. This venture that Battle Creek Public School could take as the to front end their continuum to college and career readiness. So I will stop sharing for questions. I have
not a question, but just a comment. I am super excited to see this. I am thrilled. The work that you continue to do with us is great, and I really look forward to seeing the outcome of this. I'm ecstatic. I can't wait.
Thank you, Trustee Fulbright.
And I had a question related to partnerships with businesses. So this actually was something that got thrown in one of my work streams at work about the lack of availability of childcare. And we had a lot of our newer parents saying how they have to get on wait lists. So are we going to be partnering with businesses? I heard you say Denso, but like I'm at downtown location. So
Yeah, absolutely. And the only reason that I use the industrial park is because we heard that a lot. You know, they get demerits when they don't have childcare and those kind of things. So that was just something that was fresh in my mind. But yes, all partners, and even Battle Creek Public Schools, right?
Right. Yeah.
We have teachers that are parents too. So yes, hopefully we can help fill that gap. And it is when I looked at what were the you can get downtown quickly. You can get to the fort quickly from Dudley, even though it's tucked away. It really is like on a corner that gets you to a lot of different places. So absolutely. And so you just put your name on a committee list? Is that?
Sure. You help me kill two birds. That's fine. Put me down.
Two things. I'm glad to hear this. I'm actually on a committee with Calhoun County because we've been discussing the lack of babysitting somewhere for the kids and child care. Thank you. So we have actually been talking at Calhoun County about trying to find or open up a space. So when we talk about partnerships, we need to look at Calhoun County. And then two, is this in addition to the place that, if we're still there, I think we're still there, the building that we have over?
Coburn.
Yes, Coburn.
It's Head
So
Coburn, yeah.
So that's Head Start, and it's different, but we rent that building to them, and they mostly do 3 and 4-year-olds. I don't know that they have babies over there, but I may be wrong. I know they have a mother, like an infant, something mother program, but I'm not sure if they are providing care outside.
That's a program we would keep.
Well, that's not our program.
That's not
It's our building.
Yes,
It's
our
our
building.
10-year lease.
Yes.
Okay,
They're on
all
a
right.
10-year
Thank you.
lease.
Yeah.
Dr.
But
Hart?
it does fill a gap on that side of town
It sure does.
because there was a big vacuum of preschool in that Roosevelt Post area. So it did help, and we do recruit and get kindergartners, coming into kindergarten from that program.
Dr. Youngblood, I think that in our community on that side of town, there's quite a few mothers that don't have anywhere to leave their children so they can go to work, because they do want to work, but they don't have anywhere but to watch their children. So I'm
Yes, I've heard that as well.
extremely excited about something like this in our community.
Yes, and I really, and I mean, I keep saying but I'm recommending that this is more than, I'm going to use Mr. McLean's word, this is more than babysitting. This is going to be early care and education. This is going to be premier. There is curriculum out there for babies, right? And we need to be doing that. And I've already talked to Mitch about collecting data so we can see if your baby started with us at 6 weeks and they graduated from Central and they are on to, the stars the limit, right? We want to be able to say that and know that we, are making that impact from cradle to college and career.
Yeah, well, we've seen that.
Truly, this will truly be it.
Yeah. You mentioned the KSP and success there. I mean, we've seen those scores have been improved.
Yes.
Kids that went there. So this is like that times whatever. I mean, it's huge.
Right,
Kids starting the
exactly.
Battle Creek way, day one.
Exactly. We have really done a great job at that 4 to 8 space. Like, we poured a lot into that, and so let's back it up 3 more years and let's see what we can do.
I think the gains will be monumental, and I think it will also help with the increase of enrollment for the rest of the grade levels for Battle Creek Public Schools, because the people will have such loyalty to know that they can start from early on, as they say, early care and education center would just be a great foundation beginning for their family needs.
Exactly. And we can consider once we get all it, if we move forward and things, what kind, will you get a discount for longevity? If you have multiple kids, if so we can offer incentives in that way to entice parents to stay with us, not just come but stay, right? Mm-hmm.
For sure. Any other questions for Dr. Youngblood?
The only thing I'll note is that I know that there was a lot of stress for people that under 3 age. So if we have an ability to unlock that and have some more space for that, I know that is a lot more limited, especially because of teacher to baby ratio. So I know for us that was a whole point too.
Yeah, I've heard that for years, that birth to 3, it's like people cannot get, they call them slots. I cannot get a slot. Or they're in their 6th month of pregnancy getting on somebody's wait list, right? And so I do know, and it is very costly to do that, but we have to see what we can, and I hope you got the full report where you could see the different capacity ranges.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
So can I just be clear that what you're voting on tonight is not the amount of money to spend, because we're still in phase 1 of planning. What you're voting on tonight is approving us transitioning Dudley to an early child care center. Okay, so that's what the vote is.
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah, okay, I'm like,
Sorry, next week, we'll make sure that that's on there, is that you're approving it so that we now can fully launch into planning. It is in line with the board's vision, and we will move forward.
Thank you, Dr. Youngblood.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you. All
Take care.
Anything else for Dr. Harvey?
She's up for C.
Okay. Oh, she's up for C. Okay. HBCU College Fair Tour. Dr. Harvey.
Great things are happening at Battle Creek Public Schools. Here's another opportunity that I wanted to bring before you. I am standing in proxy of 2 individuals who could not be here, who are more intimate in the details around this. So I will do my best to represent their work. But as you know, part of the Bearcat Advantage Scholarship includes tuition to HBCUs. And so what we wanted to do was increase exposure of our students to these institutions of learning. Because currently only 2 to 3% of our Bearcats go on to choose schools outside of Michigan, period. So we know that if you want to increase something, you give more exposure, you give more scaffolding so that we can help them make the best choice for their educational needs. So we've explored landmark educational tours to help collaborate with the planning of this tour that is to happen in the fall of 2025. And specifically a sample itinerary, because the itinerary is still being constructed, would include guided tours to some of the best historically Black colleges. As I said that, I'm looking at her about the side of my eye thinking, oh man, I said that and Fisk is not on here.
We don't talk, that's why I'm saying things. We'll have a comment.
No, and we're looking to do more rotations so that we can get to more areas around the country. So the first cluster would be or could be Howard University, Bowie State, Coppin State, Morgan State. And then also, I think it's very important that they not only go to the colleges, but they see some of our national landmarks and experience some of the historical value in those areas. So that would include Dr. King's Memorial, the Vietnam and Korean War memorials, the National Museum of African American History and Culture, some other museums as well. So what we're asking is for the planning to continue. Yes, there's a fee associated. However, this committee is really looking to just only have students pay a $50 deposit. with enough grant funding, fundraising, and other corporate sponsors. If we don't do that, the cost will be between $1,300 and $1,500. And we already know that will be a financial hardship for our students. So we are really looking to write grants and to get corporate sponsors and fundraise so that families are only doing a $50 deposit. Yeah, so we just want approval to continue to plan and collaborate with the Landmark of Educational Tours so that we can launch our first historically Black college and university tour in the fall of 2025.
So the question, is it October or November?
Well, I think they targeted October, November. But again, so let me be fully transparent. Part of the historically Black college and university experience is attending a football game. So it can go either way because we want to see a good game. And I'm saying we because I already put myself on the trip. If I got paid for it, I'll pay for it. But, so it could be between October and November. It's just depending on what that schedule is because that is part of the student experience at a Black college.
You gotta pick a band and everything.
Band.
Got to get the band in, yes.
Thank you.
What grade levels is this targeting?
Thank you, I didn't say that. We're targeting 10th through 12th graders.
Okay, so a whole bunch.
Really trying to start early with those 10th and 11th graders. Because honestly, when you get to 12th grade, you should have already made your decision and those applications should already be in. Yet, we want them exposed.
So it's like a gap year? I mean,
Yes,
you never know.
yes.
So you're thinking in the future, you could go to other areas that also have the colleges?
Yes, because you can target the southern areas, you can even, you don't have to stay East Coast, but you can go deeper south.
I didn't realize there were so many on the
Yes,
East Coast.
yes.
That was amazing.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Harvey. We're right down to Dudley Fire Alarm Upgrade, Josh Bowman.
So with the transition, the proposed transition with Dudley into an early child care center, the life safety systems that are being used at Dudley right now are inadequate for that group of children, right? So we'll have to have additional detection devices installed in the classrooms. That obviously comes with a cost. The existing system that's there right now cannot handle the upgrade, which means we'll not only have to upgrade the detection devices, but the entire panel and all the wiring as well. We decided to propose partnering with lead companies to get this done, as there'll be a lot of coordination between the Bureau of Fire Services, state inspection authorities, and contractors to be able to get everything installed and ready to move when we're ready to open this at Dudley. So it is recommended the Board of Education approve the Dudley Fire Alarm Upgrade Project in the amount not to exceed $188,760 to be funded from the sinking fund. Questions about that need?
I like the timeline that you've laid out to know that it could be done in the summer. It's pretty neat to have it happen.
Yeah, we're trying to utilize spring break potentially to get a jump on it, so we're not because we're worried about a labor force in the summertime.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Insurance change.
On behalf of Dr. Michael Henry, who is out today, please welcome Robin.
Hey.
Thank you. Robin.
So one of the things that we had this year was our MESA insurance rates went up significantly, anywhere between 12 and 14%. Every 3 years, we have to have our insurance bids sent out and publicly posted on the transparency site. So we did that, and the gentleman that did that for us said, your best bet is to stay with MESA. So the rates are high everywhere. So we reached out to the West Michigan Health Insurance Pool. They're now called the Pool. They're located primarily in Grand Rapids as their main office. And we got a bid from them. They are a group of school districts that founded the Pool Insurance Company. It used to be primarily in the West Michigan area. That's why they was the West Michigan Health Insurance Pool, and then now they are going out to other areas as well. So they have compiled their name into the pool. So one of the areas that they have talked about when they gave their presentation was the growth that they have seen over the 19 years. You can see in 2005 all the way up to 2004, they have grown exponentially. So they have sustained their practice and have had a lot of more members come to the West Michigan pool. So at a glance, they are a Blue Cross Blue Shield company. They have the same Blue Cross Blue Shield that Mesa does. So they pull the resources and mirror those plans specifically. And I'm just reading the notes here. They have currently, I believe they do have 121 school districts in. And they have some colleges too, and they're continuing to grow as a company. Here are some memberships. I'll just kind of move that up there real quick. There is one to the Ionia Public Schools. That was my former district before I came here to Battle Creek. They use the West Michigan Health Insurance Pool for their administrators. So, and they are still in that group too. So. But they have grown a lot since when I was involved with them with that school district. Some more memberships. And it looks like too they've now reached the Upper Peninsula too. That was something that they didn't have very many of before.
But it was interesting to see that they even have city government.
Yes, not just school
participants
districts.
too.
Yep.
So I thought that was very inclusive and helps to grow the membership, because the more employees that you have, the cost should lower themselves.
Yes, yes. And their rates are, and then here's some association, their rates are generally cheaper. Their rates are consistently, I would say, half if not lower than what Mesa rates are. But even their rates this year, which is telling, went up too. I think they put that on here. But their rate increase was, usually their rate increase is 3 to 4, and I think theirs went up to 6 to 8. So I think rates everywhere are going up. So even for them, that seemed to be a big jump for them too. The pool also offers certain things that the Mesa does too. They offer the teledoc for individuals. So if you need to get a hold of somebody, you don't have to go into the ER. They have the diabetes prevention, and they have other programs too. You can still contribute to the flexible spending or the HSA plan. So that hasn't gone away. So you can still do that with the plans that they have.
And your information, is Priority Health a choice too?
It is, yep, they do the Priority Health.
And I'm just speaking from personal experience. Priority Health has just got a tremendous customer service group that really, they got their start in Michigan. They were only available for Michigan employers, but now they've kind of expanded, but they haven't lost their excellent customer service.
Okay. And this year too, I think our plan was, because we were looking at it and we were moving kind of quickly, we kind of mirrored what Mesa had for the employees that were possibly considered to be going into this. So we kind of wanted to make sure that the transition wasn't too shocking right away, and because of the fast turnaround.
Sure.
So here are the increases on average, and you can see in the blue where the pool is. And like I said, they generally do have the about 4% increase. And then you can see in the yellow is the Blue Cross, and then the Mesa is the gray line. So everybody's insurance went up this year, but the pools was not as significant. And then here is the biggest factor. We did a comparison based on the increased cost to the employee per check for these individual plans, and we compared them to what the West Michigan Health and Pool health insurance pool would charge. So the employer pays the same amount regardless of the plan. They pay the state hard cap, and that only went up 0.2%. That is kind of a factor as to why insurance rates are a lot higher. But like I said, Mesa went up 12 to 14, and the pool's average was anywhere between 6 and 8. So seeing the cost increase to the employees, that is why we presented the admin professional and behavior interventionist an option to possibly go with a different plan, save an employee some money so the cost wasn't significant. The essential plan, the pool did not have one of those, so we put in a $500, $1,000 with a 20% copay. That would be comparable to the essential plan. The essential plan used to cost nothing to the employee for single and family, and you can see that now there's cost for all three of those. And then Mesa brought the Balance Plus plan in lieu of the $500, $1,000 plan that was voted out in the consortium with Mesa. So they had another high deductible plan, and we brought in a $500, $1,000 0% co-insurance with the pool. So the cost savings was significant for employees. That's kind of quick, but do you have any questions?
Any questions, comments?
Well, it's remarkable too that once a board approval, things can get going for January 1st.
Yes.
Because most health insurances go from January to
Yes,
following
they do.
December then.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just want to publicly thank Robin. She did a lot of work behind the scenes. It was overwhelming approval from administrators.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, non-bargaining unit salary schedule.
So stay up here.
Keeping her busy.
Anybody need a drink?
I can take some water.
Okay. Go ahead.
So we are, have also presented to the school board a non-union administrator professional salary schedule. Oh, thank you.
I didn't put that salary schedule up here, no, they got it in their
Okay.
packets.
And that is one, I believe Dr. Carter had answered some questions. There used to be a salary schedule back through 2014. And that salary schedule had been frozen due to financial situations. And since then, there hasn't been an official salary schedule drawn. So back in 2021, we kind of created a range which we compiled from national averages, kind of looked at other districts where people were, and with the ORS laws that are coming into play, we need to have a salary schedule in place. So we have kind of developed one, did some research, kind of put everybody down, and had it finalized to what you guys received in your packet.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much, and thank you for your time. Moving down to public comment. Thank you very much. Moving down to new business. Okay, the chair will now entertain a motion to approve the 2023-2024 financial audit report.
Madam President,
Yes, trustee Fulbright.
I move that we approve the 2023-2024 financial audit reports.
Support.
It's been moved by trustee Fulbright, supported by trustee LaValle, that we approve the 2023-2024 financial audit report. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Okay, moving down to the National Association School Boards. Chair will now entertain a motion regarding those traveling. Correct, Charlie?
Yes. Did we,
What's the
Not for the person.
Just for
The amount, like how many people. It's not for the exact person.
Right.
It's for,
President Gray,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we send, if there are interest of 2 Board of Education members to the national conference that will be held in Atlanta, Georgia in April of 2025.
support.
Okay, it's been moved by trustee LaValle, supported by trustee Fulbright, that we send 2 interested people to the meeting.
Up to.
Up to 2, okay.
So can I clarify, just to make sure we're clear, is it 2 plus Charlie? Or does that include Charlie?
I was getting ready to come in with that kind when we had some conversation. Because when you are we talking about this right now?
Well, yeah, we're in discussion.
Okay, because.
Let me say any discussion. All right, go ahead.
Thank you very much. First, before we go up to 2, I would first like to, because we had said earlier we were interested in seeing how many wanted to go. Therefore, if we had maybe 3 or 4, I would like to see if it was possible for maybe 3 or 4 to go before we limit this and say 2. So if,
I guess that's the question, are there funds for up to 4 to go?
We can make it available.
Because some school districts do send,
yeah.
they send their entire board.
Some send their entire board.
You're not doing that.
But anyway,
That was new on our part.
well, I guess I would say we authorize the trip without a number, and then we discuss it further.
Okay, well, we have a motion on the floor.
But she put a number, so we would have to, or have Catherine read.
We'll make a friendly amendment that just to make sure that Battle Creek Public Schools Board of Education members attend the national conference being held in Atlanta, Georgia.
Good enough.
Support.
All right, it's been moved by trustee LaValle, supported by trustee Fulbright, that we send those that are interested in going to the meeting. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify.
I am trying to get out of here. So if we I know, trust me, you know I'll be on this. So if we do, whoever go, some of us may drive. I just wanted that to fly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those details can be worked out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm done. Let's go.
Okay. Seeing no more discussion. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Superintendent comments.
I did say yes.
All right, I'm going to try to be brief, but I do want to congratulate the graduates of our adult education program. Their graduation is tomorrow, December 10th, from 6 to 7:30 at W.K. Kellogg Auditorium. I hope that board members will be in attendance in regalia because we want to support all of our graduation programs. Also, in case you weren't aware, Alice in Wonderland is being performed this Friday at BCCHS. Our theater students will present Alice in Wonderland at the McQuiston Center on December 13th and 14th at 7 p.m. So you can pick a date, one of which may work for your schedule. Then, as we approach the holiday season, please note that winter break will be from December 23rd through January 3rd. The district offices will be closed. And please remember that December 20th is a half day. We wish everyone a joyful and restful holiday season.
Any board member comments?
President
Yes,
Fulbright.
trustee LaValle.
Thank you so much. Wanted to let the board know that our 2 Student of the Months being honored by the Battle Creek Rotary Club was made in November. Lorenzo Small from Battle Creek Central was honored, as well as Nathan Marcos from WK Kellogg Prep. And I also attended a Grace Health Student Advisory Committee. This is a committee that helps it's a group of members, not only the staff of Grace Health at the Health Center at Battle Creek Central, but community members, students, as well as one Board of Education member. They only meet 3 times a year, and their first meeting for this year was December 4th. And if you want to see the minutes, I can send you a copy of the minutes that were discussed and what type of business was done on December 4th. On December 3rd, I was invited to attend a Zoom meeting along with Dr. Alicia Johnson to begin giving feedback on the zero bond increase plans coming up for the district. And more meetings will be held in the near future.
Any other board member comments? Seeing none. Meeting's adjourned.
President, come on.
Hey,
That was, you know, I have a. Good job, mate. I had support, but I'm like, we gotta go.